Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Firefighters Chalkboard. And here we are kicking off something brand new. We're going to be doing the Fools February Podcast Bash. That's a tongue twister, guys. Say it 3 times real quick. So we're starting it off with the best way in the world to start it off. We have got some of the executive board from the international chapter starting off the very first episode for the podcast bash. Gentlemen, how are you doing this morning?
Outstanding.
Doing good, Wayne.
Good. Good. So if you guys can take a second, just introduce yourself, and we'll get this thing rolling.
I am Chris Bednarik. I've been on the executive board for 10 years, and I currently serve as the international vice president.
And I'm Dave Dubowski from St. Louis, and I've been on the E-board a couple years, and I am the secretary with the International.
And I'm Kevin Fields from Colorado, part of the NOCO Fools, and I am the Public Information and Technology Chair. Been on the E-board for about a year and a half now.
Cool, cool. It is an absolute pleasure to meet you guys. I know we're going to have a ton of information for all the rest of the chapters that are listening in, and maybe we can get some recruiting done at the same time. So, start off with, how many chapters do we have right now? Does anybody know?
Yep, right now, starting off 2026, we've got 178 chapters, and that includes chapters from coast to coast in the United States. We've got some chapters up in Canada, and we also have a chapter now down in Chile. The brothers from Chile, I guess they met you and President Flagel a couple of years ago up at FDIC, right, Chris, and showed some interest. And this last year, we welcomed them officially at the Fools Brotherhood Bash at FDIC in 2025.
Yeah, it was really cool that they actually came up to Indy, and we got to give them their cards in person. It was at the Brotherhood Bash. That was really cool.
That's great. That is great.
We have a chapter in Australia now, too, don't we?
Not anymore. They kind of fell apart, yeah.
Nah, it's unfortunate.
But we can get them back.
There you go.
There we go. So we're going to start it off with Mr. Dave right here at the get-go, because he's already been labeled by the rest of the E-board right here as the historian of the Fools. So let's dig into it and let some people truly know the history of the Fools.
Yeah, it goes back to Florida, the Orlando area in 1995. We call those gentlemen the Founding Fools, and just some guys that were really into the job and loved training. But they saw some red flags in the fire service back in 1995, and some red flags that they didn't like. They saw a lot of our culture, a lot of our history, a lot of our tradition was being lost in the fire service, and they wanted to do something about that. And now whether this is an urban legend or not, I don't know. They say Fools, which stands for the Fraternal Order of Leatherhead Society, actually is what they were called, because these guys were paying out of their own pockets. They were taking their off-duty time to go to classes, and there were other firefighters in their area that called them a bunch of fools for doing that. That's a great story. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's how the Fools kind of got started by there's just a handful of fellas that, like I said, loved the job, and they got things going, and it started small, of course, but then 2011, September 11th happened, and a lot of what they were talking about really came to the forefront. And FDIC became a big catalyst for the Fools International. The first Fools big get-together gathering was held in the basement at the Hampton Inn up at FDIC back in those early years, and then it kind of took off from there. So, going on 30 years now, over 30 years now of the Fools International.
Awesome. And, the funny thing about it is what the founding Fools were labeled as, we still got members right now that are being labeled as that by people every day. Because
Absolutely.
there's some people there's people that don't think, hey, why are they doing this extra training? Because they love the job and they want to be better at it. They truly love their craft.
Yeah. And it's so true. And right now we've just got under 10,000 members in the Fools International. So, hey, there's going to be those haters out there, but Right now we know there's 10,000 people of us that are like-minded individuals that just love the job and love training as we do.
Yeah, that is great. And we hope to see those numbers continue to grow because, this is one of the easiest ways to truly keep the culture of learning and training and keeping keeping the, I guess, the antique part of the fire service where we truly started from, the brotherhood, the training, mentorship, everything else, truly keep it all together, keep it intertwined so it doesn't separate away because sometimes with progress, tradition goes away and we need to fight really hard to keep the tradition always in the fire service.
And I want to hit on that real quick. While training is a huge part of what the Fools do, a lot of the chapters have really latched on to training and putting good quality training out to not only their membership, but to the departments and fire service members in their regions and their areas, which is absolutely phenomenal. The quality of instruction and instructors in the Fools organization is, I would venture to say, second to none.
Mm-hmm.
I know in my tenure on the board with President Flagel, we have tried to steer the organization back because the pendulum swung fairly hard to the training side. And we started to lose track a little bit of that brotherhood tradition that is in our mission and in our value statement. And we're trying to kind of bring it back to center a little bit and bring that back so that we remember, while brotherhood may not be the politically correct word to use exactly, it's the overarching, encompassing statement of our brothers and sisters. And in one of my slide decks, I absolutely 100% steal one of Ben's slides, and he knows that I do it. I rebuilt it, and it's the flaming globe, which is, absolutely recognizable as a fool symbol. And it is, if you make the dark hallway with me, you are my brother.
Absolutely.
And we don't care boy, girl, rank, ethnicity, religion. We don't care who you are. If you make the hallway with me, you're my brother. And that is what we're about.
And to add on to that point, I'm sure we've all heard it, whether it's in the firehouse or at a training event or whatever, but you hear rumblings of the Brotherhood's dead, that it's not the same fire service that we came into. And my argument, my pushback against that is, well, go to your local Fools chapter, because if you join a Fools chapter, you'll see that the Brotherhood is alive and well. And we've got the stats to prove it. I mean, Dubo talked about the current membership. Last year, we added 1,420 new members with 16 chapters. And in my mind, that shows that the Brotherhood is alive and well throughout the fire service, which is encouraging to me, who's kind of in that middle range of my career. And it gives those younger firefighters who we all know are coming up through the pipeline that we're hiring, it gives them an outlet to pursue that passion. And so that's my pushback to them when I hear that statement is go find a Fools chapter.
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of like what we were when we were pre-gaming, and we were talking about mentorship and everything to start off with. The rebuttal just exactly with what you were talking about is, what are you doing to make it where it doesn't change? What are you doing to latch onto that tradition and that brotherhood and everything else?
Absolutely.
So it kind of charges them with getting to work.
Yeah, we build these silos within our own organizations or whatever, and then we get that negative mentality because that's all we know is our organization, versus stepping outside of our own walls and seeing other organizations, seeing the Fools, seeing how good the fire service truly is. And your mentor might not be within your organization. Your mentor might be, halfway across the country. I mean, I count Dave and Chris as huge mentors to me that have built my fire service career. So that's the beauty of the Fools.
Well, and I'm going to date myself a little bit, and Dave will laugh at me a little bit because Dave's older than I am. So Dave, just roll with me here, just a little bit. So I've been in the fire service since mid to early 90s. I've been a volunteer. I've been a paid on call. I've been a contract fire medic. I've been career. I've since retired from active service. I've held all the ranks except for actual fire chief. And I can say that without the Fools organization, and I've been a Fools member, a very proud Southside Fools, South Side of Chicago member since 2004. I would not be in the fire service today if it wasn't for the Fools. I've been in dark places, and I know we all have in my career. And if it wasn't for my chapter, for the people that I've met, going to convention, the networking, the people across the country that I've been able to reach out to, and career-wise, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. Talk me off the ledge. Man, being able to recharge your batteries, being able to be around those like-minded people like Kevin was talking about, reinvigorating action. I've been in fire service for years. I wouldn't be sitting here talking with you people right now.
Yeah, it's important to get out of your sandbox, and the cool thing about the Fools is it gives us a chance to network with so many people, and not just that, but think of metro versus rural. How do you do things that way versus how we do it? What might make things better? If these guys can figure out how to work a house fire with 4 people, why are we having a problem with 40? I mean, it's kind of not saying one or the other, but you're able to reach out with so many different people, get ideas, thoughts, and just different perspectives on how things are done. What problems have you faced? It's just it's unlimited on the amount of information, support, and everything else you can get from your Fools.
Well, it's human nature that people have that comfort zone. They feel comfortable around the guys from their job, from their town. And I see it all the time. I go to FDIC annually, and I see the same guys hanging around the same guys that they see the other 51 weeks a year. I'll go down to Pensacola Beach every year for Chief Ike's seminars and see the same guys hanging out with the same guys that they hang out with the other 51 weeks a year. So I challenge our Muddy River Fools members every time they go to FDIC or a conference, get out of that comfort zone. Go meet some strangers. Go introduce yourself, and you might make some lifelong friends like I have over the past several years.
I will agree with you 110% because for the majority of 30 years, I was in my sandbox. I didn't go anywhere. I stayed right where I was at. And I started venturing out a little bit. And the first Fools Bash I went to for a conference right after I got out, I made 3 lifelong friends in the first hour. And I talk to those guys every day now. And, one's an hour from me, one's 7 hours from me, and we still talk every day because of the friendships we had made. And it made me realize that what I thought was bad I was dealing with every day wasn't bad at all because we had a cakewalk compared to what some other people were dealing with. It kind of changes your perspective of how things are when you get back home. You kind of appreciate some things a little better, gives you a different world with a different set of eyes. But just the friendships and the networking and the, availability to go to other places and learn different ways, different methods, different trains of thought. It's a chance for unlimited growth, and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand when you embrace all these conferences and Fools trainings and getting to see the brotherhood and the tradition and all it. Just like you were saying earlier, Chris, it really recharges your batteries. It gives you a chance to learn to love the job and fall in love with the job again over a weekend that'll last you another year worth of going through what you do at work.
And it impacts your families.
Absolutely.
It makes you a happier person at home, and the relationships you build. Like, I didn't know Ben at all when we both came onto the e-board at the very same time. We were the first 2 people to have the secretary and treasurer's position as independent positions. Up until then, they were kind of secretary treasurer as the same person. And man, our daughters were pen pals. He's in Fairbanks, Alaska. I'm in Flossmoor in the south part of Cook County, just south of Chicago. And our daughters hit it off. Like, we've been best of friends for the last 10 years, and we're 1,000 miles apart in different, like, the time zone thing is always rough. Like that's rough for the e-board no matter what. But like, it's crazy how all that kind of stuff works out.
Yeah, because I'm not used to the whole time thing, and then we were trying to get this thing together, and I'm like, "How are we gonna do this?" I'm on the East
Oh,
Coast.
yeah.
You got, I mean, it was kind of, and it was kind
Oh,
of like
yeah.
roll the dice.
Oh,
Okay, just tell me how it can. I'm
yeah.
good. We
That's every time for our meetings. Every time.
Oh, all right. So let's get started on some of the stuff the internationals got going on, and the closest thing that's coming up is FDIC. Right, that's the biggest thing that's going on with the international coming up is FDIC. What does the international have going on at Indy this year?
So I'll let Dave chime in a lot on this, but I think one of the biggest misconceptions with Indy is that the international, and I suppose by the international I mean the executive board, because we're kind of the international, that we run the Brotherhood Bash, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
Okay.
We help to support the Brotherhood Bash. We absolutely love that it happens, but that is 100% organized by the Indy Metro Fools.
Okay.
All the props, all of the kudos go to them for securing the space, getting everything together, having the tent, all of the things that go into making that event a success every year goes to their leadership and whatever committee they're able to scrounge together to help make it happen. And fire engineering over the course of time and their leadership have been very good about helping to support that event as well. And we kind of go along on the coattails and do what we can to help support as well. So I think where a lot of people give us a lot of credit for that event, I want to make sure that Indy Metro gets the credit that is actually deserved to them, because they do 100% of the heavy lifting for that event.
Okay. I'm actually glad you did that, because I was under, I'll be honest, I was under the assumption a lot of times that the International E-Board had a lot to do with that. So thank you for clarifying that, and we'll give props to Indy, right away on that.
Yeah, and I just got a reply. I just texted Indy Metro Fools president Brett Raymer. I said, "Hey, give me an update. We're doing a podcast with Uncle Wayne here," and President Raymer up at Indy Metro just texted me back. He said, "Everything's going good. Working with sponsorships and vendors. The one big question is the location of the bash, because it has bounced around a few years. I think everybody is happiest when it's out, the big party in the alley outside with the tent and all that. That seems to work out best." He said the only glitch, they'll have it finalized here real soon, and it sounds like we'll be back in the same location. But it sounds like the Final Four of basketball is going to be up in Indy just about 2 weeks after, or 2 weeks before FDIC, I guess. So there's a lot going on with that. So no, hopefully we'll have an answer real soon on the location. But it's a big night for me. I've been going to FDIC since 1996. 96, that was the first year. It was up in Indy. And it's the bash. For us in St. Louis, it's a 4-hour road trip. And the bash means a lot to a lot of our members. We've got members that maybe can't get away from their families. They got little kids at home, or they just can't afford FDIC that year. Their department won't pay. We've got several members from our chapter in St. Louis that'll just take the road trip up for the bash. They'll drive up to Indy Wednesday morning, go to the bash, and then get up and drive home the next day. So the bash is huge. We love it. Chris is so good staying over at our merchandise table and making a few bucks for the Fools International. I like to be a little bit more mobile. I just like getting out and talking to the other chapters and talking to brothers and sisters that I see once a year. But everybody that's been to the bash knows that it's a fabulous time. Chief David Rhodes from Fire Engineering, he always makes an appearance, as did Bobby Halton when he was with Fire Engineering. And we just love everybody to come. You don't have to be a Fools member to be there. I think it's about a $10 donation to get in the door, but it's an incredible night, and we guarantee you'll have a good time. Even last year, it was outside, and the weather was kind of crappy, but boy, we had a huge crowd, as we always do.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I feel that the Brotherhood Bash at FDIC is probably the number one catalyst for growth within our organization. I know, speaking for me personally, I've been to FDIC a couple of times, been to the Brotherhood Bash a couple of times. Every year came out of there super energized and talking with firefighters from around here about starting a chapter. And then we did finally pull it together in 2011. And I know a lot of the chapters have that similar story. They've attended FDIC, they went to the Brotherhood Bash, they went back to their region, and they said, we need to bring some of this passion, some of this tradition back to our region, and they started a chapter. So I think it's a great snapshot into what the Fools is about, and a huge catalyst for growth within our organization.
And with that, if you're listening to this podcast and you go to FDIC and you see, granted, you may or may not recognize one of the three of us by that point, especially if you're not watching the video. But if you see anyone wearing a Fool's shirt, a cap, whatever, and you're interested in this organization and you're not already a member, please go up to them. I can speak from experience. There is nothing more that a Fools member wants to talk about than being a Fools member, and how to be one, and how to get involved, and how to start a chapter, or how to point you in the direction of somebody who can tell you how to start a chapter. Don't be intimidated. We want to talk about it. We want you to come be a part of what we're doing.
And that's actually how our chapter here in St. Louis got started. We had a fella, Mark Harris, worked in Alton, Illinois, and he was up, Chris, I don't know if you even heard this story, but he was up at a IFSI event up in Champaign, Illinois, a training event, and Mark saw a guy with a Southside Fools shirt on, and he had no idea what the Southside Fools was about, what the Fools were, and he went up to this member of the Southside Fools, and they sat down over a beer, and the brother told him all the great stuff that the Southside Fools does, and Mark brought that back to St. Louis, and lo and behold, 20 years later, we're still going strong with our chapter here.
That's how I got started. I met a guy in a class, and I remember it was a trench rescue class, and he had a Fools sticker on his helmet. And I hounded him throughout the whole class about what the Fools was. And it turned out that he was on a department right next door to me, and we were both still pretty low on the totem pole, so we saw each other. We had to ride the ambulance, so we saw each other at the hospital all the time. And I hounded him. And Southside, you have to be sponsored to be a member of the chapter, and I hounded him until he brought me to a meeting, and that was exactly the case.
Yeah, fools are like CrossFitters and vegans. We'll talk till we're blue in the face about something we're passionate about, and we are all very passionate about this organization.
How do you know he's a Fools member? Just wait, he'll tell you.
Yep,
that's great.
Kind of like a CrossFitter. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that is great. So, Dave, you said you're with Muddy River, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we got FDIC, check. We got that. Indy's getting prompts for that. Let's talk about the international convention, because that's coming up in September, right?
That is correct, September 14th through the 18th of this year.
So, looking at the picture right there, there's all kinds of stuff going on during the international convention.
Yeah, it's going to be an incredible week. We hosted the convention here in St. Louis back in 2013. We swore we'd never do it again, but as we say, hell has frozen over, and we stepped up, and it was the right thing to do, and it's going to be a great week just because of so many like-minded people that will be coming to St. Louis, where FDIC is 35,000 brothers and sisters. A typical Fools conference is 100 to 150 brothers and sisters, and it's a more intimate group. But boy, we've got a great week planned. We've got a lot to do over the next 8 months, but but we're looking forward to hosting everybody, and everybody that travels to St. Louis, I can guarantee them they're going to have an incredible time that week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the flyer that Muddy River's already got up, and I'll throw it out for people that want to take the road trip to St. Louis. This is some of the stuff they've got going on. You know, you got opening ceremonies. Then on the Tuesday, they got the 9/11 stair climb. They've got the firehouse tours. They got the Gateway Arch tours, stuff like that. They got a Cardinals baseball game. Wednesday, they're doing hot training and lectures. They actually have the Spouses Day is going to be going on. That way, you can get your wives involved in it. Let them, bring the whole family atmosphere to it. They're doing meet and greets. They got a comedy club thing going on. They got go-kart racing. They got a party at the plaza. They got all kinds of stuff going on. This is going to be a great 4 days worth of convention going on in St. Louis.
It's going to be fun, but it does have some true meaning to it. This year, obviously, we celebrate the 25th anniversary of 9/11. So every day we will be commemorating what happened 25 years ago up in New York. The stair climb will be one of those. It'll be a 9/11 memorial stair climb. There will be some FDNY members that are Fools chapter members that will be there that week. But no, the training's going to be fabulous. We're just about finalizing the training. There's going to be 3 different training tracks. The training's going to be on Wednesday. The lecture is going to be 4 90-minute sessions. And Captain Jeff Weffelmeyer, newly promoted Captain Jeff Weffelmeyer with the St. Louis City Fire Department, his class is going to be a reality of writ class. Jeff was on a line of duty death, unfortunately, in St. Louis a couple of years ago. And then Chris Tobin and Lex Shady, also from here in St. Louis, they're going to talk about vacant and neglected buildings. Chip Ashford and Aaron Burlingame with the St. Charles, Missouri Fire Department. They've got a great culture class that they've been teaching to all the departments here in St. Louis and the outskirts of St. Louis. So they're going to be teaching that. And then Chief Jason Hovelman with the Florissant Valley Fire District. He's going to be giving a class. He hasn't decided on which class yet he's going to be given that day, but it's Chief Hovelman, and whatever it is, it's going to be an incredible class.
That is great. So, Chris, I'm going to put you in the spotlight for just a second. Let's talk about the elections, because I know we had pre-gamed on that a little bit. That was information you were wanting for all the rest of the chapters and stuff to kind of know about. So let's dig into that.
Okay, so the board, the executive board, is made up of obviously the 3 of us, the vice president, secretary, and Kevin the Pitt, the public information technology chair, and Ben, who's the president. And Dana Larkin, who's our treasurer, who was unable to make it today as well. We, in my experience with the board anyway, have not done elections in a traditional sense, even though we call them elections. It's always been more of a call to action through social media, because it's one of the only ways we have to truly reach out to our membership. In broad strokes, of hey, they're on election cycles just like anything else. It's in our articles. Everybody can see what the cycles are. And if you're interested in one of these positions, at least at current, the letter of interest, which is basically like a cover letter of why you're interested, what are you going to bring to the table, and a resume. It doesn't have to be like an official business resume, but a resume that's pertinent to our organization and the position that you're wishing to fill. Come to me by the deadline. We extended our deadline this year because, as you can imagine, we didn't get a lot of responses. So this year, the positions that we had up, and if you're not, if the listeners also are not aware, we have a regional representative program. So we have 5 representatives throughout the United States to help enhance our communication with our chapters. So they're kind of, for lack of a better way of saying it, maybe first line of defense for our chapters. When they're having an issue, when they want to talk to someone, when they have a question, they can reach out to their regional rep. If the regional rep can't answer their question, they can come to us. The vice president is the first point of contact to the regional reps, but they're also welcome to go to whomever they'd like on board when they have a question.
Okay.
So this year, the end of 2025, January 1st to 26, the positions that were up were vice president, so my position, the Region 1 representative, which was basically West Coast, so the position that Rob Fisher had been filling. He was also not running again. And Dave's position as secretary and Kevin's position as the basically our PIO position. We didn't get anyone running against Dave or Kevin. They both submitted that they would like to keep their positions again. So ultimately, they're back in for another 4 years by acclamation. I did put in for mine again, but we also got two other people that also expressed interest, one of whom is a regional representative. And we got someone else who was interested in the Region 1 position. And since that was the only other person, and Robbie didn't want to fill it, that person's going to get it. But I'm not going to steal any of that thunder because we're going to do a big reveal on social media, and that'll come out here shortly as soon as Kevin gets all of his ducks in a row for that. We're arranging interviews that are going to happen a little bit later this month with the two other candidates for the vice president's position. That is something that we do. While we don't do official voting, like ballot voting, we do interviews with any of the prospective candidates, get a feel for them, make sure they're going to be a good fit for the board. When it gets close, we will reach out to the founders, generally, specifically John Simpson. Bart, he's our representative from the founders. If we need to bounce ideas off of the founders, if we need to get input from the founders, he's our guy. And basically what's happening is when Ben and I came on the board, like I said earlier, we didn't know each other. We really hit it off, and we kind of did this commitment to each other like a you go, we go. And Ben still has 2 years in his term, and my term is up. I was only, if no one else had put in for it, I was going to stay on for another 2 years so that Ben and I could stay together. But we have two other very viable candidates, and I don't believe it's right for me to stay for 2 more years. So we're going to do the interviews. We're going to find somebody to fill my spot. We're going to continue doing this with the regional representatives. And the reason I wanted to talk about this, and the reason I want people to know that the way we, and I don't really want to say choose, but the way we fill executive board positions is very fair, it's very equitable, it's with the way we receive interest for these positions, it's the most fair and equitable way that we can do it. But I want people to know that we want their interest. We want their communication. We want, when they see the postings for these positions, we want their ideas. We want them to reach out to us. We want them to be involved. So it makes it hard for us, and it's been hard for us. Ben and I have been on the board for 10 years, and I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way that we've been on the board for 10 years because we've had to be, because people haven't expressed interest to take over our spots, but we've been on the board for 10 years. We've had the same ideas for 10 years. We've had the same, we're going down the same set of railroad tracks and the same path for 10 years. There's nothing more that we would love is for some new blood, some new ideas, some fresh outlooks on where this phenomenal organization could go next and how we can build it up to be the next thing. But we can't do that without the next group coming and showing us the interest that they want to take the reins.
Fair enough. I like that.
Well, and to add on to what you said, Chris, the cat is already out of the bag. And
Sorry, I'm not on
Steve
social.
Walsh,
Now that I'm not the pit anymore, I am on zero social media, so I apologize.
Steve Walsh is going to be the Fools International Region 1, which is the West Coast representative. He's going to crush it. He's a firefighter at the South Snohomish County Fire and Rescue, and is a member of the Puget Sound Fools. So stand up dude, fool through and through. And so he's going to serve really, really well for all of you West Coast chapters in Region 1.
Yeah, Puget was one of the first ones that reached out to me to want to get on the podcast bash. They were jumping on it really quick.
And you need to make sure to always call them Pugent because they love that.
Yeah. Yeah, get an N in there that doesn't really belong.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got an excuse. I speak thorough cornbread right here in the South. So.
I like it.
That's why I always say introduce yourself, because I butcher everything there is as far as pronunciation.
That's
It's
fair.
a lot safer that way. So now, Kevin, I'm going to dig in with you since you're the pit. What can the chapters do to help you get information out to everybody else better?
So the best way is obviously through social media. And what I've asked chapters to do at the international convention, which is, typically a smaller snapshot, so hopefully this will get out to more folks, is to send me a message or an email with your content that you want shared, because we get tagged in so many things throughout the day on social media that it's hard for me to keep up with those and see what needs to be shared and striking that balance. So reach out to me through Facebook Messenger, Instagram, or pit@foolsinternational.com. And that's the best way to get into that pipeline, because we're looking for content. We want to share the great things you guys are doing out there as chapters. And I know there's a ton of it. There's trainings that are happening. There's benevolent things that are happening. All of the things that the Fools are about, these chapters are out there doing them. And it can just be challenging to find that content and share the good work that you all are doing. So reach out to me through those avenues, and I'll push your content out.
Okay. I just figured it was really a perfect time to kind of throw it out there, because I know you guys are hungry for the information the chapters are being able to get. And I can relate to somebody just clicking you on an ad, and then it goes on and on and on. And it's hard a lot of times to be able to click which ones you need to go ahead and keep pushing the information out versus sending a direct message saying, hey, here's the screenshot, here's what we're trying to do, can you push this out with us?
Absolutely, yep. And that's I get that from a lot of chapters and that are in the know, that have been to convention and stuff. And I don't want it to appear that I'm favoring them, but they get their information to me, and I'll push it out. So for those other chapters who maybe haven't heard about the kind of that process, by all means, get your content over, because we do want to spotlight what you're doing, because you're doing great things.
Cool. So what else is the international got that they want to get the word out to everybody else on? Anything else that is impressing you guys we want to push out information-wise while we got everybody's attention?
Well, I only got about halfway through my synopsis of the convention, so...
I am so
No,
sorry if
stop.
I cut you off.
That's okay. No, you didn't cut me off. You went over to talk to Chris, and he's a lot more fun than I am sometimes. So, no, I kind of covered the lecture portion, but I really wanted to hit on what our training committee has lined up for the hot that day. It's just going to be phenomenal. It's basically going to be a RIT under fire class. And one of the cool things that they're doing is incorporating a Sims into this class. One of our Muddy River Fools members, Frank Lipsky, he owns Sims You Share. And they're going to integrate this Sims scenario on 2 actual line of duty death fires and incorporate them into the hot training that day. So there's going to be a firefighter track where you do all your down and dirty stuff, but then there's also going to be a command track for command level officers, or maybe somebody wants to get that aspect of it a little bit better. There's going to be a command track. So like I said, there's going to be the 4 lecture classes, but if you want to do the hot track, there's going to be the 2 tracks over there as well. But it sounds like it's going to be a really cool day as far as the training. Wayne, you read off all the great stuff we've got planned. And it's a bargain. Right now, we've got the early bird special going on for the next month, and it's only $150. That's an investment of yourself. So, $150 gets you a whole week of incredible brotherhood, as well as this great training that I just listed. And it's going to be a great way to commemorate September 11th as well. And one of the things that Muddy River is going to do this year, as well as the week of convention, is any money that we raise throughout 2026, all that money is going to go to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. We're partnering up with them, and convention week, we're just going to have some really badass raffles to help raise some money for that. So that's pretty much it for convention. We're looking forward to having everybody. You can register at foolsinternational.com. If you got any questions, just there's some contact information. You can reach out to us. But I think it's going to be a great week. And like I said, come to St. Louis, and we'll promise you a good time that week.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a really good deal. I pay $150 just to play in with the go-karts.
Well, it's team building. That's what we call it, Wayne. It's out in the corporate world, they call it a team building day. But for us brother firefighters and sister firefighters, it's going to be a day out on the go-kart track. And it's a tradition. We try to have a go-kart race at every Fools Convention. And the place we go to here in St. Louis is this old school Boschertown go-karting out in the middle of a cornfield. And we'll have some St. Louis style barbecue that day, and plenty of refreshments as well.
So here's the great debate. What truly is St. Louis style barbecue?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll let Kevin Fields tell you a story, a little family road trip story, and maybe he can answer that for you.
It's all good in my opinion, but this just speaks to the brotherhood of the Fools, and through networking, I've got brothers, I've got contacts all throughout the country, and so we were coming through St. Louis on a road trip to Nashville for my dad's 65th birthday. My brothers, my dad, and myself, and I wanted to take him to Pappy's because I don't know if it's the best barbecue in St. Louis, but quintessentially, like, that's St. Louis barbecue to me. And so we're coming through town. Dabowski and Shaky were meeting up with us. Come to find out, Pappy's was closed, so they took us to another joint in St. Charles, I believe, right. Heavy Smoke. And it was right on par with Pappy's. And so we got to spend the afternoon with them, share a few beverages. My dad got to meet some of my friends from throughout the country, and it just really spoke to kind of what that brotherhood and the Fools is all about. Is cross-country road trips, stopping and seeing my fireman friends.
Well, you got to tell the whole story, though, Fields, that you just didn't go to St. Louis and get some barbecue. You also went to Kansas City to get some barbecue.
Yep.
And you also went to Memphis to get some barbecue. And I believe your
and
dad, everybody else in the group said St. Louis barbecue is the way to go.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
Now we just got to get you the Eastern Carolina barbecue. Vinegar and pepper sauce.
Love it.
I love all of it. You can't get wrong anytime you mix pork and wood with some kind of sauce on it. I don't care what kind of, everything's just a different flavor, but it's all great.
Agreed.
So, guys, that's all I was really wanting to dig in with you about. I mean, because you gave me tons of information to be able to get out and tell everybody else. And that's really what I was wanting to start with for our chapters coming out. That way everybody's kind of got a blueprint. Everybody will know about what's going on with the International. Everybody knows what's going on with the Brotherhood Bash at FDIC. They know the status on elections. Is there anything else we want to cover?
I think that's the big stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're watching,
You got anything else, Dave?
if you're watching,
I mean, we even know what barbecue place to go to now.
There you go.
I mean,
And if you're watching the podcast and you're interested in being a Fools member, go to the website and there's a located chapter map on there, and try to find a chapter that's close to you. If you don't see a chapter close to you and you think having a Fools chapter in your region would enhance the fire service in your little part of the country, just shoot me an email at secretary@foolsinternational.com, and we'll talk to you a little bit about what it is to get a chapter started.
Thank you guys so much for all this great information. I'm going to spread it out to the masses. February the 1st is when this is going to be airing, starting off the February Fools Podcast Bash. And I hope it's a huge success with all the chapters and everything. I hope we can get a lot of people that aren't with Fools chapters in a Fools chapter, maybe start up some new chapters, and let's get this thing growing and bring, tradition, brotherhood, and training back into fire service like it should be.
Yes, sir.
Right on.
I want to thank you for your time, Uncle Wayne, and spotlighting not only the Fools International and the e-board, but all of those chapters out there that have reached out to you and are going to be on your podcast. So can't thank you enough for that.
Absolutely. Guys, thanks again. Everybody listening, hit like, subscribe, get on the Fools chapter. If you're not in one, get in one. I promise you won't regret it. Until next time, stay safe, keep learning, and we'll let you know the next time somebody steps up to the chalkboard.